Hello everyone, how's it going? It's Richard, and let's see. Today we are going to talk about how improving our self-esteem can improve our grades and overall happiness. Of course, this video is geared towards, I would say, students. However, there are things that if you are an adult or someone who's a little bit older, there are probably things that you could take away at the same time. And as always, this is a platform that I like to create open conversation about. So feel free to jump in, ask any questions that you have. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to stick on topic. I'm happy to answer anything. So I know a lot of people, or a few people might be joining me probably from the last conference. I see Richard nodding on. What's going on? Yeah, so let's see, just being Rico, good to see you both on. And yeah, so I'm just looking forward to having a great conversation today. And I'm crossing my fingers hoping that we get a few new people on today. I think it'll be a great conversation. So I was just thinking what prompted this whole idea, or this the reason why I want to talk about self-esteem and grades and happiness is because I realized that a huge part of why I didn't do very well in school is because I never really believed in myself. And I know that it's really important to study, but I think another really core factor of why we don't do very well is because, again, we already have this limiting belief, this almost self-fulfilling prophecy that, you know, we're not capable, or just in general, how like, oh, you know, I'm not very smart, therefore my grades aren't going to be very good. So we create this certain expectation that we're not going to do very well, therefore it becomes our reality. So I don't know, that's just something that I've noticed in the past, and I totally understand that we have our certain limitations as human beings. You know, some people have a harder time studying and focusing in school than other people. That totally makes sense. However, I think there is another really important layer of this whole concept of like self-belief, like believing in ourselves to be capable of doing something. I know for myself growing up that my low self-esteem really got in the way of me accomplishing a ton of my goals. And today, just reflecting on all the 28 years of my life and always believing that I wasn't capable really held me back. And I know this is a huge conversation for not just students, but just people in general, like people who want to advance their career, or people who want to, I don't know what it is, like get into a relationship. There's so many reasons why self-esteem or having low self-esteem holds us back. Alrighty, so I see comments. I will dig into comments. Let's see that. Let's see. Just being, what was your day, mate? How was my day, I'm guessing? Let's see. So, if you're asking how my day was, my day was fantastic. I spoke at a leadership conference called LASK, which is the Leadership Association for Student Councils. So, it was a really awesome leadership conference at the Anaheim Convention Center. So for those of you who are living globally, if you don't know where the Anaheim Convention Center, it is by Disneyland in Southern California. So yeah, that was an awesome conference. It's one of my favorite conferences every single year to be a part of. And they definitely do a great job taking care of their speakers. So, you know, they provided a hotel, a nice dinner the night before, and on top of that, it's a great conference with a lot of good vibes. So I enjoyed the opportunity to present 4 workshops today, and we talked about struggles. You know, what are some of the challenges that middle school student leaders deal with every single day. So I enjoyed it. All right, let's see. Isa, is it Isa? Isa says, how do you balance part-time job and university work? That's a great question. I mean, I think how do I say this? It's about understanding, you know, what are your current limits in terms of how much can you work, and how much time do you need to study and go to classes and things like that. So I think, how do I say this? there's always, I remember my friend taught me this little, I won't call it like a little bit of a joke. Uh, they said, she said that there's three things that we have in our lives: sleep, good grades, and a social life. The problem is when you're in school, you can only have two of the three. So you could have sleep, social, or grades. So you got to choose two of the three. It's funny because I can see how it's a little bit true, but at the same time, I do believe there's a way to balance. I think when it comes to balancing work and school, I feel like I'm going to give like a super typical answer. But really, I think it's about time management. It's about understanding what is your work schedule like, what is your school schedule like, and figuring out a way to be efficient when you have to do your homework and not waste too much time in between. Because I think sometimes we allow ourselves to be relaxed, too relaxed, and we end up wasting time that we could be using doing homework or something more productive. Of course, I think it's really important as a university student that you're also enjoying your life at the same time. So I would say schedule time to hang out with friends, schedule time to have fun, but also be mindful of how much time you're spending socializing and doing things that are not academics, homework, or school. So I don't know how to better answer that question without a little bit more context. So if you want to drop any other little notes, let me know. I would love to hear. All right. So, Rico, you're talking about social phobia and shyness as well. I'm guessing those are some of the questions or topics you want to talk about. So I'll dive a little bit deeper in there. Sebastian, good to see you on. I'll go over my morning routine in just a second. So let's talk about social phobia and shyness. How do we improve just being afraid in social settings? It's just like feeling that anxiety, social anxiety. That's really what it is. And how do we stop being so shy? So the first thing that comes to my mind is that it's a complete practice. You know, if you're afraid of social settings, you're afraid of large groups or small groups, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what's important is that how we get over that is literally just practice. And I don't know how to say this. It's like, as a 28-year-old myself, I realized that even for me, yes, I'm pretty comfortable in social settings. However, I'm not going to lie and say I'm 100% comfortable in every single setting. My point is that it's a constant learning journey. Like I don't care if you are the most social person in the whole entire world. It's like you're still, I don't know if this is true. I really don't know. I feel like everyone to some extent has a little of that social anxiety still within them, although you could overcome it almost completely, if that makes sense. It's a constant growth. So if you're afraid of social settings, again, just practice, continue putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations, and over time, your social anxiety will decrease and you'll get better and better. I feel like that's like the main way you can handle it. Other little tips on social anxiety and not feeling so shy. I don't know how to say this, but just know that you're not alone. Like, just know you're not the only one facing that social anxiety. You're not the only one who might feel kind of left out or shy. Like if you go to a party or something like that, chances are there's a lot of people in there who feel the same way. Maybe not in that moment. You know, people's emotions will change moment by moment. So let's say you go to a party and you feel like you're that only person who doesn't know how to engage and talk to people. I've definitely been in that position way too many times. And what I do know is I'm not the only one. There are plenty of people possibly at that party that feel it in the same moment. And maybe people just figured out something to how do I say this? To catch on to. Like, let's say someone told a joke and everyone, that other people start laughing, but you didn't really follow, or you didn't really get connected with that joke or think it was really funny, whatever it is. So in terms of other tips to decrease that social anxiety, it's find ways to get connected with the other people. So find mutually common interests. That was redundant. But just find things that you can find common ground on. And I think once you start, how do I say this? Once you start finding similarities with each other, then you're able to connect better, and that will decrease that social awkwardness, really. Yeah, that's what I got there. Let me know if you have more questions around that. Happy to answer. Sebastian Doet says, what's my morning routine? So currently my morning routine, if I'm on a, how do I say this? If I'm on a good day, hold on. Okay, first things first, I'm working on my sleep schedule. My goal is to sleep at 10:30 p.m. every single night, and then wake up at 5:30 a.m. every single morning. And that will provide me, what was that, 7 hours of sleep. That is the goal. I'm still working and easing my way into it because with my schedule and everything like that, it's a bit of a challenge. So let me get to my morning ritual. What is my morning ritual? So again, you gotta find what works for you. My personal morning ritual is I wake up. I'm gonna get as detailed as I can right now. So what I do is first, number one thing is I put my phone, my alarm clock, across the room. Number two is my alarm. Usually I set it to 5 minutes before 5:30, so 5:25. And I like that feeling of waking up a little bit earlier because I feel a little bit ahead, instead of making it 5:30. And one thing that I notice is your alarm clock sound. What sound does it play? I believe it's pretty important. Here's what I kind of found out in this past week and in the past as well. So I just got a new iPhone like not too long ago, and it changed my song into the default ringtone that's like meh, 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 meh. It's really annoying. And what I found is when I wake up to a really annoying sound, I don't want to wake up. It's really annoying. So that just like disrupts my flow and just like it makes me cranky, So what I realized is choosing a song that you enjoy waking up to is I believe will be helpful. So one of my current favorite songs is Reverie by Elenium. So that's the song that I wake up to every single morning now. And it's like a very mellow, chill song. So I really enjoy kind of waking up and going to that flow. Number two thing that I realized when I wake up is that, Sebastian, hopefully, or everyone, I hope this is not boring you and getting too specific, but one thing I noticed is it's winter time here in California, and it gets cold when I wake up. And the thing is, I don't like sleeping with a jacket on, so I usually just sleep shirt, right, with a shirt on. So when I wake up, it's cold, and when I shut my alarm clock, my body is like, oh, dude, it's cold. I want to go back to sleep because it's nice and warm there. So what I'm training myself to do when I wake up, this is so specific, I'm not even answering your question, is I turn on my heater. So like that's like my first thing, like I force myself to turn on my heater so it's nice and warm, and like I feel more comfortable getting up as opposed to going back to sleep. All right, so that's how I wake up. So let me get straight to the morning routine, very simple. I do 5 minutes of meditation, and 5 minutes of meditation, then I jump into about 5 to 7 minutes of affirmations. So I have a list of affirmations I repeat every single morning. I'll share them with you in a second if you'd like. And then after that, I do about, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes of visualization, which is where I visualize either the day, like today, because I had a speech, I visualize what it would look like and how I would impact the students through whatever connection and conversation today. So that was my way of visualization. However, on days I'm not speaking, I might visualize what my week looked like. I might visualize what my career will look like. My 6-month goal of booking 30 speaking gigs will look like. Or I might visualize kind of like the future that I want in like 10 years or something like that. So that's what I do every single morning. And then sometimes I exercise first thing after that. If not, let's see. Another thing I do is I say hello to the girl I'm dating, and that's nice. Anyway, so that's my morning ritual, and hopefully that was helpful. If you have more questions or you want me to get more specific around my affirmations or how I do meditation or visualize stuff, let me know and I'll dig deeper. Otherwise, I'll just assume that you're okay without me answering those things for now. All right. Jazz46617 says, what can you do to help yourself if you didn't meet your personal standards for grades? So let's see. How do you help yourself if you didn't meet your expectations for your grades? Well, I think the simple answer is do better next time. I don't know. I know that sounds so standard. So if you didn't meet your expectations, uh, just focus forward. Focus on what can you do better moving forward in your next quarter. That's the obvious one, right? Of course, you want to move forward and focus there. But another little thing is, how about the grades that you had that weren't as good as you wanted? I think what you can do in this situation is you could observe them, and um, I think it's important to accept what you got. You know, like don't beat yourself up for whatever getting an F or whatever bad grades that you got that didn't meet your expectation. Like there is no value in that. You know, you're just putting yourself down, and you know, some people use it as fuel. Like, oh man, you're so stupid, man. You should be better than that. I don't know. That's just not my style. I mean, I used to do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's really about noticing. Look, oh shoot, I got an F. Like that. That does suck. You know, I am disappointed in myself. You know, don't hide your emotions, and just look at it and be like, okay, what did I do wrong, and what can I do to improve my grade for next quarter or next semester, whatever it is. Alrighty, so hopefully that was helpful. Again, if you have more questions and you want to dig deeper, Jazz or anyone else, just ask questions and I'll respond back to them. Justbing says, do you cook often? Do you know Gordon Ramsay? If so, what's your opinion about him? I honestly do not cook very often. What I call, if anything, I feel like I food prep. And what that means is it's like I just prep food enough that I could eat it, you know? So, goodness. For example, making smoothies. Like making smoothies to me is not cooking, it's food prep. You know, I'm preparing food and processing it together, if that makes sense. So I'm a very simple person when I eat, and more recently I've been trying to eat very clean. So I don't necessarily care about fancy foods. Usually the more cooking that's involved, I'm not saying it's bad. I think good food tastes good, but it just requires a lot of time. And I'm not like super picky about that stuff in this moment right now. So I'm pretty basic. That's what I'll say. Gordon Ramsay, he's a personality. that's what I got to say there. Ray Raskin, good to see you on. Rico, you're welcome. Tokyo Dragon, hey man, how to be self-confident? Actually, how do you love yourself? What would it mean to actually love yourself? Tokyo Dragon, dude, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Seriously, that's like, I feel like that's like the heart of this channel. It's also something that is very, very challenging for a lot of us to do, is figure out how do we love ourselves. So, how do you love yourself? Okay, this is a very deep question. Like we could go on and on about this. So, I think self-love comes. I'm kind of improvising here. I think self-love comes from treating yourself like a human being, understanding that you are a person too. I don't know if this applies to you, but what I feel is most oftentimes we as human beings tend to treat other people better than we treat ourselves. And it's almost like we don't treat ourselves like a human being. You know, like we're so overly critical about ourselves, and like we're not going to yell at someone else, but we'll beat the crap out of ourselves, if that makes sense. You know, we're constantly putting ourselves down. So I think that's a big problem. So to love yourself, I think it's, oh goodness, this is, even for me, even for someone who's like my whole channel is about self-esteem, like it's sometimes hard for me to answer how do I love myself. I would say a lot of self-love revolves around, in a way, like living life in alignment with who you truly are. So that means doing daily habits or doing things that will make you feel happy and positive, and you feel is true to your core. It's essentially, I feel like loving yourself is listening to your heart and actually following what it says, as opposed to what other people tell you to do. I believe that's a huge part of loving yourself. So again, loving yourself, a huge part of it is listening to your heart and actually doing what it tells you to do versus going against it because your logic says so otherwise. I want to be clear here. So when I say listen to your heart does not mean listen to your emotions. Your emotions is not your heart. you got your logical brain, you got your emotional brain, right? And then you have your heart. What your heart is, in my opinion, your heart is like that gut decision that combines very, very quickly your logical and your emotional combined together, and it knows what's right and wrong. Because you're like, as a human being, there's so many bits of information that we have to consume, like millions of bits per second, things like that, or thousands at least. It's millions. So our brains are always trying to process. So I think when we trust our heart already knows, it's already calculated all the logical stuff, all the emotional stuff, and put it together right away. And it's practicing that skill of just letting go. Stop trying to force an opinion on your heart and just let it decide itself. It takes practice. That's what I have to say. So I want to go back to, yes, intuition. Intuition is I believe intuition is very, very aligned with the idea of trusting your heart. It's very similar, absolutely. Let's see. Okay, I want to stay on this topic of how do you love yourself. I think that's a very powerful thing, and I think it's very underrated because we're so busy, getting good grades, studying, and working and all this stuff. What else is loving yourself? Loving yourself is, I think self-respect is a huge piece of it too. Self-respect is, again, that goes along with staying in alignment with who you are. It goes along with doing things that you should be doing, and not doing things you should not be doing, if that makes sense. Self-love or self-respect. A great example is, let's say you're in a abusive relationship. Let's say your partner is not treating you well. They're maybe emotionally or physically abusing you, and they're treating you like crap. They're not respecting you. Self-love in that situation is getting up and walking away, or not tolerating someone else abusing you, if that makes sense. So it's, again, self-love is self-respect. That's what I'm kind of coming down to for this other conclusion. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you for that question. I really love that question. It's something that is a hard thing to kind of figure out, and how do we improve it? If you have more questions on how do we improve self-love, then we could dive into that a little bit more. Rico says, how can I get a positive friend than a negative friend? Let's see, Rico, so again, question is, how do I get a positive friend rather than a negative friend? I believe this has several different answers. Number one, I would say that's a choice. It's a choice if you get a positive friend or a negative friend. We get to choose who our friends are in our lives. And if you have enough self-love or self-respect, you will trust yourself. And when you talk to someone and you kind of sense a negative energy, you'll be like, okay, maybe this person isn't who I want to hang out with. Now, I want to be very, I guess, add a little bit of caution, and it's also important not to judge people, because sometimes we look at someone and they're like, that person looks really negative, when we don't fully understand who they are. So I'm going to be honest, I've judged people. I think in a way we all judge people, but I'm just going to say for myself, I have judged people. And I want to say I know I still judge people today. That's just the lens that I grew up with, and I'm working on being less judgmental. So in that context, it's be wary of, give people a chance. Not everyone is negative. Maybe they're going through a bad day. Anyway, you got to, this is one of those moments you just got to trust yourself and see, is this person a good influence or a bad influence on my life? And, just try to figure that out. And another thing is, where do you settle? What are you willing to settle with or for? Settle for. Oh my goodness, that's so bad. So, for example, when I was in high school, my threshold of who I accepted as a friend, I would say, is not as high as today. No offense to, friends in high school. It's just, in high school, I just wanted to connect with people and be happy. Today, when I think about my close friends, I have a certain expectation of who they get to be. And really, it's friends who are positive, friends who are not going to put me down, and friends who are just really, really supportive and want to build me up just as much as I want to build them up as well. So I don't tolerate people who are going to bring me down. It's people who are like, all my friends today are people who have a genuine heart for other people who want to help other people and also make a difference in the world. Like that's kind of the people I surround myself with, because I want to stay positive. And I'm going to repeat this phrase. It's a famous quote. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I'm sure many of you have already heard that quote, but if you haven't, I'm going to introduce it to you or remind you about it. Again, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That includes your parents as well. So if you hang out with your parents a lot, you will start to become them. There's another similar quote which is like, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And there's a third version of it, which is, if your friends are millionaires, if your top 5 friends are millionaires, chances are you'll be the 6th. But if your top 5 friends are broke, chances are you'll be the 6th. So the point is, who you hang out with is likely to determine the type of person that you are. So just be mindful of who you hang out with and who's kind of taking your energy or giving you that energy. Yeah. Alrighty. Jazz, you're welcome. Alrighty. Tokyo Dragon says, how do you gain self-respect if you've lost it? Alrighty. So how you gain self-respect if you've lost it is you build it back. Just like any relationship. So imagine your relationship with maybe your mom or your dad, or your relationship with a friend, or your relationship with a romantic partner. How do you build respect, right? They always say respect is earned, not given. It's the same thing with yourself. How do you build self-respect is you do things in integrity, which means, let's say you make a promise to yourself that you are going to go to the gym. And how you build up that self-respect is when you make that promise to yourself, guess what you get to do? You get to go to the gym. So anytime you make a commitment and you follow through, you build up that self-respect and self-trust. Anytime you make a commitment and you break your commitment, you're hurting that self-trust or self-respect. You're not respecting what yourself wants. So that's the short answer, okay? I want to add a little bit more info on this. If you happen to make a promise to yourself, but you fail to do it, this is not the opportunity to beat yourself up. Don't focus on don't be a victim. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be like, oh man, I'm such a loser. I can't stay disciplined. I'm such a failure. I keep trying to do what I say, but I just can't. I'm not responsible. That's just not who I am. Don't focus your energy there. Really, look, everyone goes through this challenge, and it takes practice. It takes practice to build up that self-trust, self-respect, and that self-accountability. That accountability that says, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And guess what? Me, 28-year-old Richard, I still struggle with it. Currently I'm in a very positive, good place in my life where I feel happy and I feel confident and I feel very capable of doing things. But there are things that I do on a daily basis that I'm not necessarily proud of myself. So a good example is waking up in the morning. In this past week, yes, I talked about my alarm clock and things like that, and that was something new that I learned in the process. But let's say last week, I had such a hard time waking up on time. I would wake up when my alarm rings, and guess what? And then I'll go back to sleep. And then I'm like, okay, I got alarm set. I'm going back to sleep for five extra minutes. And then guess what? Alarm will go off. I shut it off again, and I end up falling asleep for an hour or an hour and a half. And then I feel really bad. So it's natural to have those negative feelings, like I just shared. I feel bad when I do it, but don't focus your energy on those negative feelings. Instead, focus on how can you take this experience and learn from it, and take lessons and bring it forward. So that's really what I tried to do, and that's where the whole I was present enough to understand, okay, what's not working for me? Again, being cold in the morning was not working for me, so I had to turn on my heater, which helped me get up. The other thing is the annoying alarm sound ringing. That was not working for me because it really bothered me in the morning to hear this really loud, annoying alarm. So I changed it to a song that I like, and that helps kind of ease my way into like having a positive start to the day. So that is, yeah. So that's how you build self-respect. Again, to build self-respect, you make promises and then you keep your promises to yourself. Again, it takes practice. Don't beat yourself up if you're having a hard time doing that. Raskin says, I watched the viral video of a student accepted to Harvard. It brought me pure joy watching the relief that their hard work paid off. That sounds awesome. I love it. Let's see. Is this a pity party? Nice. I'm not sure what specifically that's referring to, but yeah. Let's see. Miguel says, hey, so I'm a senior now in high school and everyone is getting into amazing schools and I feel that I'm not good enough. How can I beat this feeling? Miguel, thank you for your question. That's such a great question to answer or ask also. So what I want you to know is that how do I say this? What school you get into does not define your self-worth. You know, just because someone, you know, all your friends are going into better, quote unquote, better schools, higher ranking schools, more prestigious schools, it doesn't mean you're any less of a person. Sure, I get it. It sucks. It feels bad that you didn't make it into Harvard or Yale, you know, or whatever school it is. But it doesn't make you any less of a human being. And oh goodness, this is one of those real raw moments of thoughts in my head. So success is not defined by what school you go to or how awesome you're, you know, becoming a doctor. To some people, that's what they might define as success, which is perfectly fine. What I realized for me, again, I'm going to say, I did not get into any top schools. You know, I didn't get into. So I'm from California, and the University of California, blank, are very popular. For example, UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, you know, or Berkeley, or San Diego, things like that. Anyway, so when I applied for colleges, I didn't get into any of the top UCs, University of California, Berkeley, UCLA, things like that. My friends did. You know, I got friends who went to whatever, Stanford. They went to Berkeley. They went to UCLA. They went to UC Irvine. I didn't get accepted into any of those. So I did get accepted into the, you know, quote unquote worst ranking UC, which besides UC Merced, which was a brand new UC at the time. So one of the lowest ranking ones, UC Riverside. And for me, I used to feel so disappointed in myself. I used to compare myself with my brother and sister who both went to UCLA. And with that, it was like, I felt really disappointed in myself. So I'm going to go back to your question, which is, let's see, how do you get over that? Wait, hold on, let me answer it. So you feel like that you're not good enough. How do you beat this feeling? Really, Miguel, how you beat that feeling is you just accept where you are right now. You know, accept that if, you know, let's say you didn't get into good schools, you accept that, okay, look, this is where I am. You know, I didn't get it. I didn't make it into the good schools. It doesn't mean I'm any less than it does not mean I'm less than everyone else. It just means that, you know, it is what it is. And I get to continue working on myself. So I don't know how to say it. Like, that's really what it is. Know that you are good enough. Know that you don't need a school to tell you whether or not you're good or not. You know, it's just, you got to find self-worth within yourself. And that starts with just really, I know this sounds kind of cheesy, but it goes with following your heart. It goes with aligning yourself with what do you want in your life? You know, what's your true passion? And I'm going to do a little bit of comparison here, but in terms of, so, okay, again, UCR Richard, right? You would think if you, oh, wow, this is really interesting, by the way. I've heard and I've read about some studies where people who go to Ivy League schools, such as Princeton, Yale, Harvard, you know, like all these other schools, top schools, just because you went to that school, it doesn't mean you're necessarily happy. I don't know if anyone else has seen this study, but there's a study that shows like people who graduate from Harvard or Yale are, a huge percentage graduate and end up not being happy because whatever it is, certain expectations, maybe that they were kind of pushed into a career being a doctor, lawyer, that they didn't want to. Again, I'm kind of guessing a little bit here, so someone can back me up and correct this exact statistics or study. It was a pretty popular study. And the message is just because you go to good school, it doesn't mean that you're going to be happy in your life. So what I'll say is for someone who graduated from UC Riverside, if I'm comparing myself to people who graduated from UCLA or other things like that, I would say that to myself, am pretty successful because I'm living a life in alignment with what I want to do. My life is very free. I'm not working a 9-to-5 job, and I get paid to speak to schools and conferences, and I got to do YouTube live videos every single day with all of you, Facebook Live, stuff like that. And for me, to me, that's success. I'm not completely successful. I'm not at that. There's so much more I want to do, and I'm not. I haven't hit that success mark yet, but I could see the ball rolling. But anyway, my point is, even though I deny it in a way, I know deep down inside I have hit some level of success. Not that I'm making a lot of money, but rather because I have gotten to a point where I've made a decision to follow what my heart desires versus doing what society tells me is the right thing to do, which is go get a job and, whatever, get married and have kids. That's not really me, so hopefully that helps. Alrighty. Let's see. Raymond says, keep it going, man. You're going to make it. Raymond, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. Alrighty. Hold on, everyone's getting okay. Tokyo Dragon says, are you going to have this video saved on your channel? Would want to view it again in the future. Yes. Every single one of these live streams are saved on my channel, or whether, by the way, I'm doing YouTube, Facebook at the same time right now. Yeah, no, I just gave away my secret if you couldn't tell. So yes, every single video every single live stream is saved on my page. So there you go. Rainbow Killer says, Richard, I was told that you were coming to Johnson Middle School to do a speech for the students. Is it true? Wait, what? Wait, who is this? Wait, whoa, who's Rainbow Killer? Wait, who are you? How? I'm confused. Who are you? How do you know that? Very few people know this. Yes, I am going to Johnson Middle School to speak in February. What? How do you... Wait, can you please... You gotta fill me in. Seriously, you gotta fill me in. Literally, this contract has not even been signed. The contract literally has not been signed, and this literally just happened recently. I'm kind of creeped out right now. How do you know this information? This just happened yesterday. So, yeah, I'm confused. Please, you gotta fill me in. You can't leave me hanging here. That's scary. Whew. All right, but that's really exciting. What? I'm so lost. Okay, I'm having a panic attack right now. All right, Raymond says, one question though. I just got done with finals and passed, but I felt so exhausted afterwards. How do you get through tough trials and tribulations? Goodness, that's a great question. Really, it's by pushing through. How do you get past tough trials and tribulations? Is you just got to push through. You gotta keep going forward, and sometimes life gives us challenges, and the only way to overcome them is you keep going. And I believe a support system is very important. So in the context of, let's say, academic support, have friends and classmates that you can study with, but emotional support is also important too. So this is where it's important to build up relationships with other people, friends, family. So when you're feeling really down and stuff like that, you have someone to talk to. I know that not all of us have that opportunity or that ability. We all have the ability to, but maybe some of us don't have the opportunity to connect with people and talk about, oh my goodness, I'm struggling so much here. But what I do want to let you know is that for anyone out there who is feeling discouraged, who is feeling like, man, I'm going through such a tough time right now, I don't know how to get through this, know that it is perfectly okay to, one, feel what you're feeling. As a human being, we all have feelings. So please invite yourself to feel the pain, feel the negativity. It's just part of being a human being. And let's see, find an outlet. Look, I do daily live streams here. If this is your outlet, if this needs to be your outlet, let this be your outlet. We are more than happy to hear you. I'm more than happy to hear the challenges that you're going through, and that's kind of why I do these every single day, because I want to be able to create a platform where we can have conversation, ask questions, connect, talk about challenges, and support each other through improving our lives one step at a time. This is a great little opportunity to kind of plug in. So a few days ago, if you were on my live stream, I talked about this 15-day challenge that I'm doing. Like this, I'm not trying to be like spammy or salesy here. So I just had this random idea. I'm like, hey, I want to create a 15-day challenge to kind of support you in like stretching and changing little areas of your life. So I'll be honest, I had this idea. I'm like, do I really want to do this? I don't know if I want to do it, but I'm going to push myself to create a 15-day challenge. And so we can all do it. Anyone who's interested, you could just comment like, hey, I'm interested in doing the 15-day challenge. And that'll just let me know who's interested. And again, I'm doing this for you. Like I want to just create more opportunities to stretch ourselves. So there'll be challenges like, again, the example I give is post a live stream video. You know, do a live stream video for at least whatever, 5-10 minutes of yourself just talking about whatever you want. Or if that doesn't scare you enough, then sing on a live stream or sing and dance. You know, like the point is you want to stretch yourself to outside your comfort zone so you can grow. That's the point of the whole 15-day challenge. It's going to scare me too. You know, I'm going to have higher expectations of myself to push myself. So I'm a little scared of it too. But I hope you can join me in breaking past, having the courage to break past your fear and just go for it, have fun, and learn something in the process. Timothy Young, good to see you on. Timothy says, interested. That's awesome. I'm so happy for that. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay. Rainbow Close says, I'm one of the students. I got a 3.71. That's awesome. Hold on. A Rainbow Killer. Like you gotta... Can you please tell me where you heard about this information about Johnson Middle School? I'm just super curious. Like that's... Yeah, I'm guessing... Well, I don't know. I feel like only one other person would really know that, which is the person I talked to. We'll call her Mrs. Fong. So, yeah. Are you Mrs. Fong's student? Is that it? But still, like, I'm surprised. How would this... I don't know how this information would get out. I'm so confused. All right. Life of Kyla. Hey, I went to the Anaheim convention today, and I've been inspired. I'm glad you're inspired. I don't know if you mean inspired by me or inspired by everyone. Either way, it was great to see you there today. And, yes, I'm looking forward to connecting more. Thank you so much for following me on social media. I'm totally looking forward to just, providing value and continuing all these awesome conversations. Let's see. Goodness. Hold on. I see some, I got questions. So Sebastian says, when's my birthday? My birthday is in June. Do I have anxiety for the future? Let's see. How do I say this? The question is, do I have anxiety for the future? I'm going to say yes and no. I think the type of person I am is I like to have everything, like I like to have some sort of vision or like, looking forward. There is a little bit of anxiety. Now, okay, I'm going to be real. There's definitely some anxiety around this goal of booking 30 speaking gigs in 6 months because I've never ever done it before. By the way, I'm like 1 down and 29 left to go. It's scary because it's a new field. There's a lot of unknowns. There could be a lot of rejection. There could be a lot of trials and tribulation. There could be a lot of things that come up for me. A lot of my self-doubt is probably going to come up for me and be like, no, Richard, like you can't do it. You're not worthy. stuff like that. And I got to keep pushing through those conversations because I know that stuff isn't true. That's just a story that repeats in my head over and over again for practically my whole entire life. So that's what kind of gives me anxiety, is the unknown. But what I do know is that I get to continue and just push through all those fears and anxiety because I have a certain mission, and I get to show up for, I guess you can say, all of you here. You know, I got to show up for myself. I got to show up for, I don't know how to say this, like my future partner, you know, slash family. I'm like, just, I got to show up for people and be an example. And I don't know, I'm not trying to be a hero here. Like, it's just, I know that I get to do it for me, and I get to do it for my family, and I get to do it for, I want to say, the world. That sounds so, I'm not trying to take a spotlight. I'm not. But it's like this is like behind the scenes conversation in my head. It's like, I get to do it to improve myself. So, you know, other people learn how to improve themselves, if that makes sense. So yes, I do have a little bit of anxiety, but I'm going to keep pushing through and improving myself. Alrighty. I have made Richard shook. That's funny. All right. Let's see. CD Hoops 2X says, how do you get up a 1.2 GPA? Let's see. How do you get up a 2.0 GPA? All right. Last year I got a D in math, then C and B. This year in 7th, I got A in math. All right. Let's see. Yep. Raskid says, how do you increase your GPA? One assignment at a time, one problem at a time. I 100% agree. It's if you want to improve your GPA and things like that, like you literally, it's just take it one step at a time. You know, improve. Goodness. So this moment right now, literally, I'm tapping into what it's like to be a middle school student right now. You know, I'm tapping into like this feeling of confusion. It's like this, oh man, my grades aren't where I want it to be. Like, but how do I improve? Like, there's so much to do, and I'm not really sure how. So, talking about Sebastian was asking about anxiety. I think one thing that really holds us back from getting better grades is anxiety in itself. So, if you're feeling like, oh, my grade's not good enough, and you know, I don't know what to do. What happens is we start feeling anxiety. That feeling of like it's very uncomfortable, you know, especially in our chest area. And when we start feeling anxiety, what happens is we go into this mode of paralysis, or we feel paralyzed. And when we feel paralyzed, we're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, how do I study more? Like, we start freaking out and we become less productive. So I believe, yes, of course, you want to study more. You want to focus and see how do you build your study skills. But really on a very, I don't know how to say this, on a more, if we're being more present, I believe what's going to help you improve your GPA is to, you know, relax. Just relax. You know, don't overly stress yourself, because the more overly you stress yourself, the more anxious you're going to be, the less productive you're going to be. So really what you want to do is you want to relax, trust that everything's going to be okay. That does not mean be irresponsible. It just means that everything's going to be okay. And one by one, slowly, like slow down, let your brain think, you know, don't overthink, just slow down, think about how do you improve your GPA? You know, okay, I need to improve my grades. Okay, how do I improve my grades? I should talk to my teachers more and ask for help. Okay, how do I improve my homework assignments? Well, I haven't turned in all my homework. Maybe I should do more of my homework. Good idea. Okay, I am doing all my homework, but I'm still not understanding it. How could I get more help? Or how do I improve my homework grades? Ask for help. Study with friends. So my point is, sometimes we just need to take a step back and just relax, calm down. I find that helps me a lot, especially in the realm of speaking. So for any of my students, most people on right now are students. So, you know, your anxiety comes from studying, getting bad, you know, wanting to get good grades and stuff like that. My anxiety today comes from making sure that I perform on stage, you know, making sure that I'm delivering value and that I'm really making a difference in people's lives, and I'm, you know, like being really present. So before I used to freak out before speaking gigs. I still do, have anxiety, things like that. But I realized if I want to do well on stage when I speak to students, I need to calm down, because when I'm anxious, I don't do well. I get in my head and I start focusing on my anxiety. I start focusing on myself instead of focusing on being present and connected with people. So same thing with your school. If you want to do well in school, stop the chances are your mind is way too frantic. Like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. What you need to do is calm down and just focus. Focus on one thing at a time. And I believe your grades will improve from there. So, yeah, hopefully that's supportive. If you got more questions around it, feel free to ask. We could dive in even more on that one. All right. I see a lot of talk about grades right now. Ventroid, good to see you on. It has been a while. All right. Tokyo Dragon says, hi, Rich. You mentioned that loving yourself is aligning with your heart and following your quote-unquote intuition. Is the intuition always right? Could it be wrong in some cases and you shouldn't follow it then? Okay, so I'm going to repeat this question or paraphrase it. So the question is, I mentioned that following our heart and following our intuition is a good idea. Is it possible that our intuition is sometimes wrong? So there's a few thoughts going on here. In my opinion, I feel like my intuition is never ever wrong. And I'm not saying that I'm right. What I'm saying is that if I truly trust my intuition, I truly trust my gut, my heart decision, that I'm not going to regret it. Now, it may not give me the outcome that I want. Let's talk about a girl. Let's say my gut says to go approach a girl, but I'm like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, okay, but my gut told me to do it. And I go do it, and I get completely rejected. Does that mean it was wrong? No, not necessarily. My heart wanted to do it. I was attracted to her. So I'm glad I did it. I got rejected, which is okay, because I'm not focused on whether she said yes or no. Before, I would be really attached to the results, but I'm not attached to the result anymore. It's not about the result. It's about living life in alignment with what your heart truly desires. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that I made the decision to, have the courage to talk to that girl, even though I was really scared. And whether she reject me or not that's nothing personal to me. So it's okay. So going back to intuition, this is one of those tricky questions because you might perceive it differently than how I'm communicating it. So I believe we should always be trusting our intuition 100%. It's our intuition already knows what's right or wrong. And from my perspective, I think another important thing is if you choose to follow this path of following your intuition and your gut feeling, how do I say this? I think it's really important to understand that don't focus on the result. Focus on knowing that you are living life in alignment with who you want to be. So I'm trying to figure out another good example. Okay, simple random example. Let's say you're hanging out with friends. Okay, imagine you're hanging out with friends and your friend's like, hey dude, you want to go watch a movie? Yeah, and then you're looking at something like, oh man, I got to go study. Like in your head, you're like, shoot, I got to go study. I got my exam tomorrow, but I really want to hang out with my friends. And let's say your heart, your gut decision says, yo, you really got to study for your exam. You should go study for your exam. And let's say you trust your intuition. Let's say you trust your intuition and you go home, you study for your exam, and then you feel better about yourself, right? You're like, oh dude, okay, I'm glad I studied, I got a good grade. But here's the kicker. But what happens is your friends the next day after the exam, dude, Raskin, dude, you would not believe what happened last night. Freaking Taylor Swift was sitting next to us and she started singing to us. You should have been there. Why'd you go home and study? You're such an idiot. I should have been with, I don't know why you didn't come out with us. Whatever it was. So in your head, it shouldn't be oh man, my intuition was incorrect. I should have went out. I missed such a great opportunity. No, don't think that way. Sometimes things happen that like that stuff's outside of our control. The point is, you want to live life in accordance to align with who what your gut tells you to do. So if your gut said, hey, go study, guess what? You get to be proud of yourself that you went to go study. Yes, maybe you missed out on Taylor Swift. That's okay. But what I know is when you continue to live your life in alignment with your heart, with your gut decision, is that that's going to bring you a lot of great results. And on a foundational level, what's going to happen is you're going to feel your self-esteem is going to increase. Your self-confidence is going to increase. You're going to feel a lot happier because all your decisions are based off of like trusting yourself. So, there we go. If going back to previous conversation of self-trust, if you want to trust yourself more, follow your heart. Like seriously, that's ever since I learned this about 3-4 years ago, this concept of trusting your heart, I've been following it. Like, I don't know how to say this. Like, oh goodness, this is I'm not gonna. I got something personal. I'm not quite ready to share some. Like, look, I got something personal I want to share. I'm not gonna share it yet. I'm happy to share it. It's just I want to make sure that it's safe because it involves other people. So I'm not gonna share it just yet. But ask me in a few months and maybe I'll share it. So anyway, a few weeks, few months, something like that. My point is, my heart has had some crazy thoughts. Like, dude, I really want to do this, And like logically, people are like, dude, what are you doing, man? That's crazy. But my heart is like, nah, like this feels right to me. So guess what? I'm going to do it. But let's say my heart, my intuition is wrong. Let's say it's quote unquote wrong. And it leads me on this path of like, quote unquote, not the best place, best direction. I'm not going to beat myself up because I know that's what my heart wanted. So regardless of the outcome, I know I'm happy because I trusted my heart. That's what I got. Okay, cool. So, oh my goodness, I saw a ton of comments in between. So I got to catch up on your comments because I always love to. I want to make sure that I follow through and read all these comments. By the way, if I miss a question or something, let me know, and I will catch up to them. All right, Rainbow says, I only found this channel because of my Avid class. Okay, so that probably means that Mrs. Fong, or yes, that makes sense. Avid did hire me to speak, so yeah. But that's pretty amazing that you already heard that stuff. That's so recent. I didn't realize my name was getting out there. That's really cool. All right, Ventroid says, good to see the stream up because I have final in 12 hours. Oh goodness, Ventroid, go study. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're a responsible individual and you know what to do. All right, Isaac says, what should a junior do if he doesn't know how to pick a college and what he wants to do? All right, so Isaac, again, says, what should a junior do if he doesn't know how to pick a college and what he wants to do? So if you're in the process of figuring out, what do I do with my life? This is such a, honestly, in 2017, I feel like this is a 2017 problem. The thing is like, well, it's been a problem for a while, but right now, especially in 2017, our whole society, our whole global society is going through a shift. And traditional education is becoming less and less necessary, if that makes sense, in terms of higher education, so college, university. The thing is, college prices are going up. And today, not all employers necessarily care if you have a college degree or not. Traditional companies probably do care, what school you graduated from, things like that. But newer startups realize that college does not necessarily equal, a college degree does not necessarily equal qualified or smart or capable, rather they start focusing on things like social intelligence, emotional intelligence, how do you connect to the workplace? Because I know a lot of people who never went to college by choice, but they're making millions of dollars. Why? Because they had a very clear vision of what they wanted to do. All right, so I'm going to go back to your question, Isaac. So you don't know what college you should go to. Look, if you're not clear on what direction, another thing you need to consider is, I don't know how to say this. There's so many different. This is such a tough place to be as a junior in high school. So some considerations. What does your financial aid look like? Do you have a possible full ride with financial aid, you know, let's say the government's sponsoring, and if it's completely covered, or, you know, it doesn't cost too much, then sure, maybe college is a good option. But however, if, let's just, for example, say you're the one, if you have to pay 100% for your college education, but you don't know why, you know, what college you want to go to, what major you want to pick, things like that. Honestly, like, I know parents and some educators are going to hate me for saying this, but I'm going to voice my opinion anyway. So my opinion is, look, if you're not clear on why you want to go to college, or you're not clear like how college is going to help you, I would just consider that maybe college is not the right route for you. Now, I want to be very clear and say, don't let this be an excuse to be lazy and be like, oh, Richard said, you know, don't go to college because I don't know what to do. You get to figure out which direction your life is going to head to and commit to that path. You know, you don't get to just, this is a little bit me telling what to do now, but goodness, I don't want to tell you what to do. So you get to choose like what path you want to go on. So if you don't go to college, what else are you going to focus on? You know, are you going to focus on, you could focus on anything. You could focus on starting your own business. You could focus on traveling. You know, like these are life choices. And of course, seek wisdom, seek guidance from people who I would say not only are older, but have that wisdom. People who have gone through those experiences. Like I have friends who after school, they went traveling, you know, and their parents. Oh my goodness. Are people still on? Hey, sorry about that, everyone. I ran out of battery, so I could actually take these out. I don't know. Let me know if you're still on. Sorry, I had to reset. Okay, we are back. We are back. We are back. I hope people didn't all just leave because of that. Anyway, we're gonna continue this conversation right now. I'm glad I could still read these comments. Oh goodness, there's a lot of comments. All right. Stream up, okay. All right. Oh goodness. I think everyone already left because I've been off for like the past few minutes. And procrastination, people are talking about procrastination. I usually find myself skipping that first step. I can't find my principal at all. I believe she is on vacation. Hunter, thank you for letting me know that. Tell us about your story. Let's see. Drop the wisdom. Adiola says, go to community college and just do liberal and then transfer out once you figure out what suits you. Raskin says, went offline. Okay, cool. So, all right, I think people got disconnected from it. Anyway, at this point, I don't know who's on right now. I see one person on. If you're just joining us again, sorry for disconnecting, and my phone ran out of battery, so that's why I lost everything. Yes, I am back up. I think we lost a good 10 people or so. That's okay. Okay, so at this point, I think we're going to wrap up. You know, we answered a lot of good questions, and I get to, yes, I get to take care of some business and stuff. All right. Thank you so much for hopping on, and I love the awesome questions. Like today was, I want to say, I mean, we have a lot of awesome sessions, but I feel like today was especially awesome. So, yes. We will be on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Los Angeles time. And again, this is a daily live, so I'm pretty much doing it every single day at 8 p.m. And with the exception of days where I'm busy, but I will let you know in advance when I'm busy and I can't do it. So that's what I have, and I'll read Raskin's last comments. Raskin, let's see, Richard, shoot me your Skype, by the way. Mine was hacked a while ago. My Skype, for anyone who wants to connect, I'm not really on Skype a lot, but if you do want to add me on Skype, it is Richard Quo Live, the exact same thing as my YouTube channel and Facebook. Okay? All right, I'm signing off, everyone. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Take care. Bye.